is Pam Hill, and I'm going to talk to you about a little bit about honey and some other stuff we have that's out there and very healthy for you. To start things off, I work at Sacramento Honey Company. My parents own the store. They started the store actually as Sacramento Beekeeping. And they started because my dad was really into beekeeping and had some hives with a friend of his. They did some pollination contracts. And then they started wondering what they were going to do when my dad retired for extra income. So they thought, and then at about that same time, there was one beekeeping supply store located in Sacramento. And they found out that she had decided she was going to sell her business. So they said, great, what a great business to get in. They already knew about it and everything. So they leased a location. And when it came time to finalize everything with her, she backed out and decided not to sell. So they had already leased a property, got the name, and got all the business licenses and stuff. So they decided to go ahead and open anyways. So they opened up. Things were really slow at first. They'd maybe get a customer or two throughout the week. And then a couple of years went by, and she contacted them and decided she was ready to get out of it again. So she was wondering if they were still interested. They said no, they've already opened. But what they did do is buy her inventory and all of her little gadgets that she had come across to build beekeeping equipment and so forth. So they went ahead and opened up, and that was back in 1985, and we're still going strong. We were selling beekeeping supplies and bees for many, many, many years, and that's when I started working for them. And I just fell in love with honeybees. They're just fascinating insects. And I could really go on about that, but that'll be another time. I've been working for them for about 30 years now. Back in 2020, they decided, my dad was getting older, and they decided it was a little too much to do the beekeeping. So we decided to get out of that part of the business and just go gung-ho with honey. That's when we became Sacramento Honey Company. We've got 12 different varieties of honey, many different kinds, and they all taste different, believe it or not. And you can see by the color. Different colors is different flavors. A lot of people are just think about honey as what's in the grocery store. But that's a lot different of honey. There's basically two different kinds, two different varieties, well, not varieties, but ways you can get honey. It's either pure raw natural honey, which is what we sell, or what you get in the grocery store is pasteurized or processed honey, which means it's been heated to a certain temperature. Once you heat it to a certain temperature, the honey loses a lot of its nutrients, changes the flavor slightly, but what it does is it doesn't crystallize and granulate on you. So if your honey that you have at home ever crystallizes and granulates, that means that's a sign of it being a pure raw natural honey. It means it hasn't been adulterated or processed or anything, or overheated. So it's kind of a pain in the neck, but it's a good thing. When honey is processed and pasteurized, it loses about anywhere from 30 to 50% of its nutrients, which is quite a bit. And it loses a lot of its unique flavor. Because raw honey is valued for its nutrients and medicinal qualities as well. There's many different varieties of honey. It all depends on where the nectar comes from and where the bees gather the nectar. So there's what we call single flower honeys, which is like clover, sage, alfalfa, star thistle. There's a eucalyptus, a blackberry, raspberry. And all of those, the way to get a single flower honey is the bees have to be in an area where, say about 80% of the sources around the beehive within 5 miles has to be that one specific plant in order to get a single flavor, a single flower type honey. And so the blackberry came from where there was a lot of wild blackberry growing. Alfalfa comes from alfalfa fields. Star thistle, that is that little yellow sticker bush that everybody hates. At least a lot of farmers hate it. Grows on the side of the freeways. It's just a weed in the late hot summer. It makes excellent honey. I know a lot of farmers are trying to eradicate it, but I think the honeybees are probably keeping it alive because they absolutely love it. And it's got a unique flavor to it also. Depending on where the nectar comes from will depend on the color of the honey also. So in general, the darker the color, the stronger the flavor. However, the darker the honey, the more antioxidants there are. So there's so many different people out there that some like it really mild, others like it really strong and flavorful. One of the strongest we have is a buckwheat, which is very strong. Me, personally, I don't care for it that much. It's a little too much for me. But there's a lot of people out there that just love it. It's kind of a molasses kind of a taste. So it all depends on everybody's taste buds is what they like. Now, when it comes to medicinal parts of honey, honey has sugars in it, but they're natural sugars, the ones your body processes and actually uses and absorbs. It's not like white table sugar that it has all these empty sugars in it that just pass right through you and don't do any good. And some of the sugars that are in the natural sugars that are in honey, also your body needs to be able to process other nutrients that come into your body. So it kind of helps in a number of different ways. One thing about medicinally about honey is back in the old folk medicine days, before we had pharmaceutical companies and pills for this and that and creams for this and that, people had to heal themselves somehow. A lot of it was done with honey. Honey is a great wound dressing. If you have scrapes or cuts, they would use it. They would put honey on the wound before they bandaged it up, and it helps your body heal faster. What it does, it helps against keeping infection out. The honey will, what it does is it draws out all the impurities and the bacterias. It draws it to the wound to where it gets absorbed into the honey, and the honey actually dehydrates it and kills it. And so that's how that part helps you with you. It's used for facials. It helps moisturize your face. There's been a lot of different ways people use it, that some of them I can think of off the top of my head, others I can't think of right off the moment. But one of the most common ones that we do is we sell a local honey, which is a local wildflower. And that, when going back to the types of honey there are, anything that's not a specific single flower honey is generally called a wildflower. So that's kind of a generic name for honey. It's not any specific taste or anything, but it's just a mix. Because when you have a hive in your backyard or something, you don't know, there's tons of flowers around. The bees are going all over the place. You don't get a specific type. And so backyard honey is usually a wildflower. And we do sell a local Sacramento wildflower. The people we get our honey from, that local, they have hives up and down the Sacramento Valley, and so it's all mixed in together when they extract it. And local honey, if you get it from your area, really is beneficial with hay fever and allergies. A lot of people don't know this, and word of mouth gets out slowly every year. We get a few new customers, a few more, and a few more. But if you eat local honey consistently in the right amounts, your body gets used to the intake. Because in honey, there's traces of pollens in honey. And that's actually what's helping you. It's putting into your body in small doses what you're allergic to. So theoretically, when the season comes around, it doesn't bother you as much because your body's already used to the pollens getting into your system. And that's how it helps with allergies. It's actually the pollens in the honey is what's helping. And we sell, the majority of our honey we sell is for that purpose. There are a few doctors out there that are starting to recommend it to people. Just a few, not a lot of them out there yet. But it works very similar to allergy shots. So it's worth a try. It doesn't work for everybody, but it might work for you. It's worth a try, and it's much more natural, better tasting, cheaper, all around. It works well. And these are some different varieties of honey that we have at our store that I brought these for different colors. We also have a form of creamed honey, which is this one right here. It's like a spun honey, whipped honey. It's got a number of names. It's a fine granulation of honey, and it's controlled. Because honey will granulate and sugar up in different formats. Some are big crystals, some are really small, fine ones that are still spreadable. Others, I've had some that are hard as a rock, some that are kind of like glass almost, shavings of glass. I actually cut my tongue on one of them once, years ago. And so it crystallizes in different forms. So to get a creamed honey, you have to have a seed that you start with, that you mix it in first. When you mix a certain percentage in with regular honey, it will granulate all the same way that what you've put in. So once you put in a good honey, it'll the right consistency of granulation, then you come up with the creamed honey. It works really well. We also have over here our nuts and honey. We have some walnuts that are in jars of honey, and almonds. The almonds are just a good snack, boy. Almonds and honey are wonderful. The walnuts and honey actually absorb the honey. It and turns the walnuts somewhat caramelized. And so it's really great over ice cream for dessert. It's pretty yummy out there. We also have it in comb honey or cut comb. It's straight out of the beehive. Let me open this and show it to you. Well, if it'll open here. Well, I should have got that. There we go. And that's straight from the ways the bees make it in the beehive. We just cut it out of the frame. And look at that. And you'd be amazed as to how much honey you get out of this small little bite of this. It's very good. A lot of people lately have been using it on charcuterie boards. It's good with cheeses as a fancy appetizer in restaurants. So there's a lot of different uses for that. And then, of course, we have the honey sticks at the end over here. It's a teaspoon of honey in each one. It's like a straw filled with honey. And you just bite down on the tip, pops it open, and you got a nice little compact snack. We actually have a lot of bus drivers that stop by our store and buy those, and they keep them in their pocket for their favorite riders on their bus lines. So that's always nice. The healing properties that are in honey there's so many of them. It's unbelievable. It accelerates the healing process. Some people use it for surgical dressings. It was used for sores, open sores, cold sores. My husband, for instance, he used to get cold sores once every year. And I read something about it that said to put honey on it to clear it up. So I had some honey at home, and I had him put it on there. He kept it on for, I think, 24 hours. Lost my train of thought real quick. The cold sore went away, and he has not had one since. So it's been years. Like I said, they use it to treat wounds. It's also a natural preservative. So, for instance, we have a substance that we mix together, which is honey, pollen, and royal jelly. It's called ambrosia. And normally royal jelly, which I'll talk about also, needs to be, for being fresh, it needs to be kept refrigerated or frozen. And when you mix it with honey, it no longer needs to, and it stays potent. So, because there's a natural preservative in the honey. And I talked about that, the local honey for hay fever allergies. It also has a wonderful taste. As a matter of fact, in ancient Egypt, I found out, with over 900 different remedies that were recorded, more than 500 were honey based. So honey's been around for a lot of years. They found honey in the King Tut's tomb. It was still edible. Honey never goes bad. It's one food that will never go bad. So it's all around a great, besides the sweetener, it also can replace your table sugar in any of your recipes. Even baking and all that, all you have to do, you don't need as much because it's sweeter than actual table white sugar. So you don't need as much, and so you don't get as many calories off of it. You do, when you're using it to bake with, you do have to add in some dry ingredients to make up for the liquid of the honey as compared to the sugar. But me personally, I haven't ever really baked with it yet. I'm a little nervous. I'm not that good a cook, so that could be why. And then now I'm going to talk about bee pollen. Bee pollen is an excellent nutritional source also. Like I said, this is actually what you're allergic to. So we also sell straight bee pollen. It comes in little granules knocked off the bees' feet as they're coming into their beehive. There's a series of offset screens that the bees crawl through, and it knocks the little balls off their feet. And poor little things, all the work they do. It's kind of a shame, but they collect a lot of it. So it's full of vitamins and minerals. It includes 22 amino acids, 11 enzymes, and all of the B complex vitamins. It's 35% protein, and it's low in fat and low in calories. So you could pretty much survive nutritionally on pollen and water. I read a story once in one of these books, talked about a prisoner of war that escaped, and what he did was he skimmed off the pollens off the streams and rivers and lakes. He was out, and he actually survived on that with the water. For I think it was 5 years later or something, he actually came home heavier than what he weighed when he left. So that's a pretty miracle kind of a thing. You'll probably be mighty hungry, but it is also low in fat and calories. It's readily absorbed by the body also. It's assimilated into your body very easily, naturally. It's a great energy source because it has all the B vitamins. It's considered one of the complete foods or superfoods that are around because of its nutritional content. It also increases mental work performance and stimulates your blood circulation. There's just, every time I open up a book and read more about these products, I learn something new every time. And there's just so much more. Unfortunately, the United States doesn't do much testing on it, but other countries do, and they really believe in it. It's a really, all the bee products in the hive are usable, nutritional value, and just flat out good for you. Royal jelly is the next one. Royal jelly is a substance the bees make out of a gland in their head. And scientists have tried to discover what's in it. They can identify 95% of it. There's just that 3 to 5% that they have no idea what it is. They can't figure it out, so of course nobody does anything. The United States, at least, doesn't do anything about it. But there's a lot of other countries out there that do a lot of research on it. Germany, Russia, China does a lot, and they still to this day are. So unfortunately, if we got back to natural fixes, it might be a lot better off for all of us as humans. But royal jelly is made in a gland in their head. And it's the only difference between a regular egg, a worker bee egg, and a queen bee egg is the fact that the queen bee egg is fed royal jelly the entire time she's growing. All the rest, when a queen lays an egg, they all get laid on a bed of royal jelly. After about 3 days, the worker bees will hatch into a larva, and then they get a substance called bee bread, which is a honey and pollen mixture. That's what they eat for till they hatch out. Now, the few that are going to be queens are transferred to a different cell, a larger cell than all the workers are in. And that egg is fed royal jelly continuously, and only royal jelly, until it hatches out. A queen bee will hatch out a week earlier than the worker bees. She's twice their size. She's the only fertile bee in the hive. And she lives 40 times longer. She'll live up to 5 years, when a regular worker bee lives about 6 to 8 weeks in the summer, spring and summer, and then they die. Some of the ones that are being hatched now at this time of year in October and November will usually live all winter. But she's the only one who will live for 5 years. And she's full of eggs. She's a super egg layer. She'll lay up to 2,000 eggs a day in the spring and summer. And it's all due to royal jelly. Now, royal jelly is a substance, it doesn't taste very good. That's one thing I try to tell people right off the bat. It tastes kind of like sour dairy products, but it's very good for you. And you only need about a quarter to a half a teaspoon a day. You take it every day on an empty stomach. Wait about 20 minutes before you eat or drink anything. Definitely nothing hot for 20 minutes. And the most common thing that it helps with people is an energy source. It's either, if you're the type of person who poops out of energy in the afternoon, it'll give you longer lasting energy throughout the day. If you're one that needs more of a boost in the morning, it'll give you that boost in the morning. So it depends on the type of person you are. But it's wonderful stuff and nutritional as heck. It's got lots of vitamins, minerals, amino acids. It's one of the richest sources of pantothenic acid, which your body needs when you are under stress for your body to release endorphins. It needs pantothenic acid. And up to now, it's been, bananas is a very rich source of pantothenic acid, but this blows that one away. So it's very good for you. It also helps, when I take it, I notice a difference. It helps me sleep better. I sleep more soundly. I don't wake up tossing and turning as much during the night. And the more people I talk to about it, it usually benefits people in some other way also. A lot of people have learned to live with ailments, that don't go away, that their body has. And sometimes royal jelly will help that. I had a guy who he had chronic back pain for 25 years. And it was just hard on him. He heard about royal jelly for energy, so he started taking it for that reason. Well, he said his back pain had went away, but he thought it was just his lifestyle was changing. He was starting to take care of himself, eat better, and he attributed it to that. Then he ran out of royal jelly, so he didn't come and get more. He said, and then after a little while, his back pain came back. And he started thinking, what did I do different? He's like, aha, the royal jelly. Came back, got some more royal jelly. Sure enough, it went away again, and that sold him from that point on. My husband worked with a man who, when he worked on his feet for 25 years and worked boots at warehouses, and he said when he got home, his feet were just killing him, and they were cracking and very painful. And then he couldn't do anything around the house. And I started talking to him about royal jelly, so he tried that. He said his feet actually started healing. It wasn't painful anymore. He actually got home after work and would do, stuff around the house and have little tasks to do around the house. His family went, hey, what's wrong? What's happening? He said, I feel better. His feet weren't in pain anymore. They actually, all the cracking and stuff, he was healing. So a lot of people have learned to live with some sort of ailment that it turns out that royal jelly can help in the long run. Takes some time for your body to get used to it and so forth, but I know I'm not one to eat bad tasting things. I'm really, you ask anybody in my family and they'll laugh about that, but royal jelly is the only thing I keep up with just because I know what it does for me. And that's enough to keep me on it, to keep me taking it, because I don't like yucky tasting things. So, but I take the fresh royal jelly. So we have it in fresh, and it's kept frozen when it's fresh. Gets frozen immediately out of the hive. Most royal jelly is taken out of the beehive overseas in other countries. It's done in Korea, Vietnam, China, Russia. Mainly, I think mainly is China is one of the biggest sources for royal jelly because it's so labor intensive and it's so hard that nobody, it would cost a fortune if it was done here in the United States. And I believe there is somebody out there that still does it, but I've heard it costs a lot. So, but the place we get our royal jelly from is test theirs. They've been working with them for 20 years. They tested every batch they get. So we know it is not adulterated, but it does come from China. But royal jelly, it's very hard to adulterate that one without and noticing it. But we also have the capsules, if you're interested in that instead. It's freeze-dried immediately out of the hive. In order to get royal jelly out of the hive, the bees have to think they're queenless. So they line up all these queen cells in the frames in the beehives, and I think it's every 5 days or so, they have to pull that frame out and they go in with a kind of an extraction tool, kind of a thing that sucks out the royal jelly out of each cell. They'll get about a quarter of a teaspoon out of every cell. So that makes for a lot of royal jelly when you're eating a half a teaspoon a day. And that's why it's so labor intensive and can be very costly. But it's wonderful overall. And a lot of the bee products, they all complement each other also. There's another one called propolis that is getting a little more talked about lately. Propolis is a substance that the bee gathers from certain saps of certain trees. And they mix it with an enzyme in their body. And it's kind of a bee glue in the beehive. They glue everything together with it. They stick everything together, the boxes, the frames. It's a natural antibiotic, anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antifungal, and it's an antiseptic. So the bees use it for kind of like to sanitize the hive in a way. Very sticky stuff though. But they did a test once with a mouse got into a beehive and the bees stung it to death, but it was too big to carry out. Normally the bees, after they kill something that is not supposed to be in their beehive, they pull it out of the beehive, they drag it out and drop it out the front. Well, this was too big, so it's kind of wedged into the corner. They encased it in beeswax and then propolis over it. They opened it up 5 years later, and it was like a fresh kill. And so it kind of mummified. It didn't even mummify. It just was like a fresh kill. It hadn't rotted at all because they sealed it away with the propolis. They'll do that with that. Sometimes when you're giving your bees a medication, it's like there's one that's a thymol kind of product that's kind of fuming, and the bees will actually encase it with propolis and stick it, like seal it away from the hive. They'll stick it to the lid or something, or just put so much propolis around it that it can't seep into the rest of the hive. So they use it for a number of different things. And like I said, it's antiviral, antibacterial, and stuff for humans. And that's what this is. It's actually hard as a rock right now, but it's normally very sticky in the summertime. And residue on your hands. But they make a number of different products. They make a capsule out of that one also. That's a powdered with a carob, with carob powder in with it. And it's a great thing if you're feel like you're coming down with a cold or getting sick someday, or when you just wake up and you're not feeling that great. I start taking like 4 or 5 of those in the morning and at night, and I kick it out of my body, and I don't come down with it. But I have to keep it up for a while. They also make a tincture and an extract out of it for topical. I don't know if any of you remember, I remember when I was a kid, there was a substance, methylate, my mom used to put on all my cuts and scrapes. This stuff that was red, that would stain your skin, it stung real bad. I hated it. This works like that. It's really great for wounds. It speeds up the healing process. They're starting to do more research with it with COVID. And taking propolis is supposed to help keep from getting COVID. So I haven't gotten through all the details of that one, so I won't go any farther with that. But so all the products in the beehive are really wonderful. They all complement. They're all usable. The beeswax too. You can make candles with it. There's sticky drawers and windows. It lubricates them. Seamstresses will use beeswax, putting it on their thread so the thread slides through easier. It doesn't get snagged or tangled. Some people in construction dip nails in it. It doesn't split the wood. You can treat raw wood with it. It kind of seals it. We have a whole list of things at our store about different uses for beeswax, that far out ones that people have told us. It's amazing. But yeah, those are all the different products in the beehive. The honey is really wonderful because you can kind of depend on what type you have, what kinds you want. You can add flavor to things or to like your coffees or something. A lot of people make mead with it, which is like one of the very first alcohols that was ever out there. And that's done with honey. And you can control what it's going to taste like by the type of honey you use. I don't do any of that myself, but I heard it's pretty wonderful stuff. But the very nutritional wise, you can't go wrong with any of the bee products. They actually say, let me look at my notes here. They say the honeybee is the only insect to be free of bacteria. And their whole hive is sterile because of that. So, it's amazing. So the way I think of it is honey. I thought this summed it up really well. I found this in one of the books I was doing research on. They say honey nourishes and preserves, pollen energizes and invigorates, royal jelly heals and rejuvenates, and propolis protects and regenerates. So I thought that was a really good summing up of all the things in there and what they do. And I have a couple of little fun facts here. Honeybees can fly at about 15 miles per hour. The average bee in its lifetime makes 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey. So if you ever drop, the honey's dribbling on your counter or something, and before you wipe it up, think about that. 1/12 of the bee's lifetime. On one collection trip, a bee will visit anywhere from 50 to 100 flowers in just one run. And they constantly do that. They go in, they come back, they unload, go back out again. do the same thing. That's all they do, and they literally work themselves to death. That's where the saying "as busy as a bee" comes from, because they're constantly moving, constantly working. To make 1 pound of honey, a hive of bees will travel over 55,000 miles for all the bees travels to make 1 pound of honey, which is what this is. So it's amazing. So don't take honey so lightly. It's pretty cool. I have one final joke. Why did Bob the beekeeper go to the doctor? Because he had hives. Kind of one of those dumb jokes, but it'll work. Also, so not only do we sell all these products at our store, because we have anything that has to do with bees, except for the bees themselves now, but we also do, it makes great Christmas gifts, unique Christmas gifts. We have a few things that we have set up during the holidays here. We've got our trios of honey that comes with a little, get 3 different varieties, and with the little dipper in a cute little package, and we have tons of them laying all around. Then you can have, we also have a honey flight. This is something new we came up with last year. It's 4 different jars of honey, 4 different varieties. You get to pick which ones you want. And it's in a nice little gift box. And you just pop the lid on. We will even wrap it with the ribbon, pretty Christmassy ribbon or birthday, whatever you want to get it for. And it works pretty well. So we have all of those at our store. A lot more honeys than this. We've got tons of honey sticks. Like I said, we have, well, actually right now we have 10, 12, 15 different types of honey right now at our store. And we're always looking for new, unique ones that we'll have very little of. Sometimes we get big amounts, sometimes not. So we also do a lot of stuff at our store. We have other items. We have anything, any gift you want that's bee themed, we probably have it. Dish towels, honey pots and dippers, wine glasses with bees etched on it, coffee mugs. We actually have a letter opener that's bee themed, magnets, home decor, little signs, trivets, aprons, a lot of different stuff. We have a large variety of 100% beeswax candles that we sell. We have children's books on bees. They make a lot of children's books on bees. We also have a candle kit for children that I will show you about what is in that. We also have branched out into do-it-yourself skincare products or ingredients. So if you ever thought about making your own lip balms or hand salves or lotions or creams, hey, we got everything you need for it. We have shea butter, shea cocoa butters, sweet almond oil, jojoba oil, containers, flat tins, deep tins, all kinds of, a lot of different. If we don't carry it, talk to one of us, we might be able to get it for you. We have a large selection of supplies for making candles, for different types of candle making and soap making. We have molds, we have glycerin-based melt and pour soap, which is like a little loaf of soap that you can cut off and use it as soap, right, as is, or you can color it, scent it, and remold it to make in your own shapes, and we have molds for those. One of our biggest things are honeycomb sheets that you roll candles with. And that's what you see over here. I've rolled all these with colored honeycomb sheets. And the sheets are 8 by 16, and each sheet will roll a pair of candles, like either the 8-inch tapers, or you can get 2 of the tall ones out of it. The white ones in front here, I rolled out of 2 sheets. We have a Christmas tree, the pillar over there, and that's just a portion of some of the different things you can roll. And I'm going to demonstrate one for you today. And anybody can roll from age 2 to 92. It's very simple. I've already got it pre-cut, pre-measured, so all I have to do is roll it up, but I am going to use my trusty little mat here and show you how easy it is. It's good to have a blow dryer handy because sometimes you may need a blow dryer to heat it up. Depends on how cold your room is, the area that you're rolling in. But what you do is and so the sheets come, like that, 8 by 16, and you cut them in half. So and each one will make a candle. Take that, and I bend the edge down slightly, like that, flip it back over. So see, I've bent this part a little bit, I don't know if you can see it right here, just to get it, to lift it up for the wick to sit in it. So you lay the wick on the edge, one tight wrap around the wick. And sometimes this is when it's fairly cold. I'm going to zap it real quick. And then you just even pressure, rolling it on up. Whoa, just cut that in time. And it's so easy if you get it a little crooked like mine is, you can just unroll it. And then by putting pressure on one hand or the other, you can straighten it back out again. And then at the end, these are really cool, but sometimes I have to heat it up just to get the edge to stick. And so then gently press down the edges all the way down. And voila, you have your candle. And then you just, before you light it, you'll want to trim the wick to about 1/2 inch. And you light it, and this one candle will burn about 3.5 to 4 hours. And do that. And then you do that with the other half, and you get yourself a pair. So, and depending on how you cut it, you can cut it diagonally and match it with another color to get contrasting colors. To do the tall spirals, you just cut it at an angle. It's one big sheet, and then you can get something like this, a spiral, one like that. It's nice and tall, 16 inches tall. Will probably burn pretty quickly at the beginning because it's small, but it'll slow down when it gets down to the lower. There's just a lot of different varieties to do, and people are very creative. I had a lady come in who actually shaped them into lilies, like peace lilies. She had them in a vase. It was beautiful. I did one. I had found a picture of one or some instructions of how to do a big one that was looked for like a Christmas one. It was, I think, 10 sheets in the middle, had these in the long wrapped in contrasting colors at an angle all the way around, and then at the bottom was a big giant poinsettia and stuck to it. Now, I don't think anybody ever wanted to burn it, but it was beautiful. But, and so there's always different varieties. They make great gifts, simple, easy, cheap gifts, and kids can do it for their teachers. We saw a lot of it around Christmas time for gifts for their children to give, grade school children to give their teachers. Some teachers come in and get it for an activity for the kids. And that brings me to that children's kit I was telling you about is 10 little strips. It's enough to make 10 4-inch candles this big around. So it's like this cut in half, and you get for 10 of them. And it also has contrasting colors in it for decoration, because we also have little mini cookie cutters. You can press out of a different color and attach it to the front of the candle. So kind of like the holly that's done on these, but with a cookie cutter shape. So great for birthdays, holidays, all kinds of stuff. So if you're ever interested in any of that stuff, come down and see us. We're right on the edge of downtown. We're on X Street, the letter X, between 21st and 22nd. We're next to a big blue building called the Antique Company. So I don't know if a lot of people know where that is. You can either come and see us. We also have an online store on our website. It's www.sacramentohoneycompany.com. You can always call us, and we can take an order that way, whatever's most convenient for you. We can usually ship out the day we get the order, so as long as it's not a Sunday or Monday, because we're closed Sundays and Mondays. But otherwise, we'll help you as best as we can. And we can also help you with advice if you're having trouble doing any of these activities, or if you're interested in something about the honey or have questions about it, give us a call, and we'll all help you. My daughter and I work there now, and my mom's starting to take the back seat to it. So we're 3 generations strong and still holding on. And it's never a dull moment, let me put it that way. Pretty exciting. So, but and I have a lot of handouts about all the bee products also. So that is my talk about honey and other stuff. Thank you. And did anybody have any questions? Pop them up.